Who benefits when the population is focused on the afterlife instead of fighting for decent living conditions in this world? In what ways can beliefs be used to pacify the masses rather than mobilize them? Once upon a time, there was a world in turmoil. The 19th century shook Europe with the noise of steam engines and the sweat of new workers crowding the outskirts of industrial cities. In this scenario of brutal contrasts, on one side, the ostentatious wealth of the bourgeoisie, on the other, the staggering misery of the proletariat, a bearded thinker with a penetrating gaze and a constant cloud of cigar smoke immersed himself in the books of the London Library, trying to decipher the enigmas of human history. His name was Karl Marx, and few phrases he uttered would echo as powerfully through the centuries as the one that compares religion to opium. To understand this powerful metaphor, one must travel back to 1843. The young Marx, then 25 years old, was living in Germany and writing for the Franco-German annals. In a text titled Critique of Hegel's Philosophy of Right, he coined the sentence, "Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of a heartless world, just as it is the spirit of a spiritless condition. It is the opium of the people." Far from being a casual remark, the phrase synthesizes a profound view of the role of the religious phenomenon in society. In Marx's view, humanity was not driven merely by abstract ideas, but by material conditions, by the way it produces and reproduces its life. For him, the economy was the foundation upon which the castle of culture, politics, and religion was built. And it was in this foundation that he saw the wound of exploitation. The opium metaphor, relief and illness. In the 19th century, opium was a well-known substance used both as medicine to relieve physical pain and as a recreational drug, despite its devastating effects. By using this image, Marx was not simply calling religious people addicts or faith a poison. He was making a double and complex observation. First, he acknowledged its function of relief. Religion would be like opium offered to a sick person. It soothes, comforts, and makes one forget for a few moments the piercing pain of a miserable existence. In a world where a worker labored 16 hours a day, saw his children die of hunger, and perceived no prospect of change, the promise of a post-mortem paradise, of a divine justice that would one day come, was the sigh of the oppressed creature. It was an embrace in a heartless world. However, there was a second and more important aspect, the function of immobilization. Just as opium does not cure the disease but merely anesthetizes the patient, religion, in the Marxist critique, prevented people from seeing the true cause of their suffering, class exploitation. By promising that the last shall be first in the kingdom of heaven, it discouraged the struggle for the last to become first here on earth. It functioned as an instrument of domination, a mechanism to keep the proletariat resigned to their fate, with eyes fixed on heaven while their bodies were crushed by the gears of capital. The man behind the idea, a journey of struggle. Marx was not born in the slums of London, but in 1818 in Trier in Prussia, into a comfortable middle-class family of Jewish origin that had converted to Protestant Christianity for political convenience. From a young age, his studies in law and philosophy led him to question the established order. Working as a radical journalist, he soon attracted the ire of governments and was expelled from Germany, France, and Belgium, eventually settling permanently in London, where he would live in poverty while writing his masterpieces such as the Communist Manifesto, 1848, and Capital. His thought was a structure built on three pillars: German philosophy, especially Hegel, English political economy from Adam Smith to David Ricardo, and French socialism. But what moved Marx was not merely the desire to interpret the world, but to transform it. For him, history was the history of class struggle. In every era, the means of production, land, factories, machines, were controlled by a minority that exploited the majority. In antiquity, masters and slaves. In the Middle Ages, feudal lords and serfs. In the modern era, the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. In this machinery, religion appeared as part of the ideological superstructure, that is, the set of ideas that justify and perpetuate the power of the ruling class. If the bourgeoisie needed docile and resigned workers, the message of humility and obedience preached by traditional churches fit like a glove. It was no coincidence that Marx once described religion as the spirit of a spiritless condition, an attempt to give meaning to a life emptied of real dignity. Criticisms and controversies, resistance to materialism. Naturally, the phrase "religion is the opium of the people" never went unnoticed and generated waves of criticism that persist to this day. The first line of defense comes from religious believers and theologians themselves. They argue that Marx offered a reductionist and impoverished analysis of faith. For them, religion is not merely a consolation for the poor, but a genuine search for the transcendent, for the sacred, for an ultimate meaning of existence that goes beyond matter. To reduce the mystical experience of a Saint Francis of Assisi or the profound ethics of a Mahatma Gandhi to a mere sigh of the oppressed in this view is to ignore the complexity of the human soul and the historical roles of religions in shaping morality, art, and culture. There is also the historical critique. Many movements for liberation and social justice throughout the centuries were deeply inspired by faith. In Latin America, liberation theology, beginning in the 1960s, used the Bible to raise the banner of struggle against dictatorship and in favor of the poor, proving that faith could be the cry of the oppressed rather than their opium. By focusing on institutionalized religion allied with power, Marx may have underestimated the revolutionary potential present in certain interpretations of faith. Other critics point to a practical contradiction. In countries where Marxist thought became official doctrine, such as the Soviet Union, attempts to eradicate religion often failed or resulted in new forms of oppression, suggesting that the need for transcendence is more deeply rooted in human beings than the materialist theory assumed. Despite the criticisms, the power of Marx's phrase remains. It forces us to ask uncomfortable questions even today. Who benefits when the population is focused on the afterlife instead of fighting for decent living conditions in this world? In what ways can beliefs be used to pacify the masses rather than mobilize them? Thus, as he walked through the smoke-filled streets of London, Marx saw in others' faith a tragic reflection of his time, a world so sick that it required a powerful analgesic to be endured. His phrase, more than a gratuitous attack on others' beliefs, was an indictment of the misery that made such belief necessary. For him, the day humanity built a world just enough to no longer require illusions would be the day religion could finally disappear on its own, like morphine set aside at a hospital bedside when the patient has finally been cured. Until then, the debate between faith and critique, between consolation and revolt, would remain alive. Opium for some, a spark for others.